Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the Ugandan Podcast. I am Rita Kanya Mujuni, your host. Now, in this particular episode of the Ugandan Podcast, we're doing things a bit different. Not one guest, but two guests. And given that it's a Women's Month, two women is a good thing. Okay, plus me, three. So getting into a conversation today, we're going to be taking a look at women in the ICT profession. There are two women who are employed at the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance, but they represent different women who have chosen to take up spaces in the tech world. Welcome, ladies. I will start with Senior ICT Infrastructure Engineer. I have to get it very right. Irene Karungi Sekitoleko, you're most welcome.
Thank you, Rita. I'm really happy to be here.
Now, joining us also, we have Patricia Katusiime. She is an ICT officer, also here at the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance. You're welcome to the Ugandan Podcast.
Thank you, Rita. I'm really glad to be here.
Now, we'll start off the podcast with simply getting to know the little girl that you both were once. Yeah? Because we see it, all of us have dreams. We've had dreams before. Maybe I don't want to tell you what my dream was, because I'm not the one who is answering the questions today.
Yeah.
But what was your dream? I'll start with you, Patricia. What was your dream as a little girl in terms of career?
As a little girl, it was very clear for many years of my life. I really wanted to be a medical doctor. And as things became clearer, I wanted to be a pediatrician so bad. Yeah.
Why?
Why? I think it was just a passion for wanting to care for people, because even growing up, my mom tells me I always had like a first aid kit, taking care of people's wounds, trying to help out. You have a headache, and also she's a pharmacist by profession, so I always had like that passion of what medicine do you take for what drug do you give for what works better. Like I always had that, that passion.
But here you are now.
Here I am now as an ICT officer.
Having studied
computer science. How did that happen? At the point of selection at the university, I did not manage to raise I think they're called points, the points in biology and chemistry. I'd always been a natural at math, so I performed really well in math. So it was so obvious. Every time we applied for something, it was so obvious, like, this child is an obvious mathematician, so she should go and do something to do with mathematics. So that's how I ended up doing Bachelor of Computer Science. But also, there were a number of doctors in many spaces with whom I interfaced, and they were very helpful with the advice of, you don't always have to just do medicine to end up in the medical world.
Yeah. So you found another way into the medical world.
Exactly. Yeah.
And for you, Irene, what was your dream career as a young girl?
Okay, as a young girl, if we're looking at primary school, I didn't really have any dream, but I enjoyed playing and, enjoying myself as a little girl. But I think when I went into secondary school, I had a love for the sciences, chemistry and biology. That's where I had the dream of one day coming up with my own perfume. I thought this chemistry, where would I take it further? I think it would lead me to coming up with developing my own perfume and, like the likes of Chanel.
So you'd be giving us Yves Saint Laurent vibes now.
Yes, because those were my favorite subjects in school. However, with biology, which was where I was really good at, I couldn't continue with, because at that time there were limited professions. With biology at that time, we only knew medicine. So you had to be a doctor. It's not like how it is today. Today with biology, you can do several jobs. You can chase different careers with biology. But then it was only medicine. So I also had a fear for cutting living organisms. I had a fear even for cutting a small living organism like a cockroach. And then later on, when I found out that in A-level they actually do frogs, they advanced to frogs, it even became more, I really feared it. So I knew for sure I couldn't do a combination which has biology. It was really sad that I had to drop biology in A-level. However, this did not deter my love for sciences. And later on, I discovered that, okay, if I cannot do medicine, then the other profession at that time, which was really popular, was engineering. Yes, so that's how I ended up doing engineering at the university.
What was the classroom experience like doing engineering? You walk in for the first time. Were there more female or male students?
In my engineering class, actually, we were about nine females.
And how
Nine
many?
females, and in a class of about, I don't quite remember, but probably about 40 in total. So majority were men. And this was, it wasn't so bad. We were quite close because we were few. We used to discuss together and share, and we also had that, we had that drive to excel. We really had that drive to excel. And actually our year, when we graduated, the last final year, the best students came from, actually, the best student in the entire university came from our class, and she was a female.
Okay.
And then also that year as well, we had several students in the electrical engineering class, the course that I did, that really performed very well. So we really, I believe as females, we really worked together, and that brought all the excellent results.
Okay. Was it the same situation for you, Patricia?
Yeah.
How many female were you to male, the ratio in class?
More or less, because there were about 60-something males and 9 females.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why I ask about the classroom experience is that eventually those numbers also trickle into the workspaces that you join. So
Yes.
you'll find that you're more male than female in the offices that you get into.
Yes.
So let's get into the office space, the career path. Eventually what you had dreamed is not what you have become, but what has it been like from the challenges to the ups? We'll start with you, Patricia.
Well, like you said, the classroom experience hasn't been, I'm the only female in my department right now. Before September last year, we were just 2 in the department.
And one is no longer there.
And one is no longer there. Yeah, she had to go and represent women elsewhere.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah, which is a good thing anyway. Yeah. So I'll not point to the challenges yet. Let me just give you
What it has been like.
What it has been like.
Yeah.
So when I came to the Ministry of ICT, I was a new wife, like literally new. I joined in September. I just gotten married in June 2021. And that comes with so many things to settle in. So you're new at the job, you're a new wife, you're a new home, you're in a new home, you're managing a new home. And shortly before that, I become a new mother, so everything is new. Yeah, so there's a lot of change management that I had to do in the past few months.
And how was it like doing that, changing everything? Because you have to show up at work, you have to be a mother, you have to be a wife. Yeah.
Yeah, there are those moments when it gets a little bit hard and you wish you could be one thing, like first be a mother, then pause, but you can't. Like you have to be all those things at the same time. So it takes a lot of grace, but it has also taken a lot of understanding from my superiors, empathy, not sympathy, but empathy, trying to be in my place, which is a bit challenging for them sometimes because he is a man. Like, we're not saying their lives should stop. No, they shouldn't. They won't. But for us, for the females to find a way to get that balance, because you have to anyway.
Yeah. Did you find it? Can we say you have found it at this point, or are you still finding it?
And we're still finding it. There are those good days, there are those not so easy days. We won't call them bad.
Okay. Yeah. And to you, Irene, what was the experience for you?
My experience, I started working immediately after university several years back. I really faced several challenges.
Can I say the years? 14 years back, what were the challenges?
Yeah, so that was back in 2005 when I started working. And, the challenges were, one, at that time, there were not so many role models and mentors in the ICT field, people you could connect with. So we're faced with challenges. I was faced with challenges with how do I prove myself. There was a lot of competition with my male peers. Our bosses were all male. So having to please them, and remember my male colleagues were also trying to please the bosses. So at all times, somehow you'd feel a bit of put down, and you cannot do this, you cannot climb a tower, you cannot go up country. So they'll give you some roles would be fit for you, others would not be fit for you. And then that also happened to be around the same time when I had my babies. So it was quite challenging because the work required you to work long hours, and when you're done with work, you could be called at any time of the night. So it wasn't you done with work and now you're resting with the children, and but you'd have to be called and stand by and have to go into the field. And this would not just be, may not be Kampala, it could be, the driver picks you up and takes you to another district where you have to do field work. So it was quite challenging, but I was very determined. I was so determined to show that to show that I could do it. And not to fail, because I got this job on merit and I was really determined to make it work. However, there was a gap in the role models, the mentors, some people who you can you're familiar with in that area, in that field.
To speak to. From.
Yes, at that time there were very few. And then also, there were also challenges in getting promotions,
How so?
Because you would have to really prove that you're better than, why should they give that position to you and not the other colleague of yours? And definitely there would be challenges you'd be facing, and maybe you haven't really, you've had ups. Sometimes you don't attend, sometimes you're not able to make it on call when you need to be there. So those were the challenges. I think how along the way, that was about 7 years into my experience. Along the way, I started to network more and build relationships with different engineers in the field. I'm happy to say that one of them is Dr. Dorothy Okello. She was actually one of the ladies who really inspired me. Yeah. She was my lecturer at the university, and we have a ladies group, and there are so many encouraging thoughts and motivation lessons to learn from. So which really lift you up when you're an engineer in the field. Yes. Apart from that, of course, you also have to have this drive and advocate for yourself, be confident, and then also I also had to skill myself more in along the journey.
When you talk about all these things that you had to help you, from one, the support system that you both mentioned, to you're going to read a bit more, you're going to work a little bit harder than the male counterparts in the space.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, it's rewarding, right?
Yes.
I believe it's rewarding for both of us.
It is.
It is.
I just wanted us to have it out there for anyone who's listening, for any girl or woman.
It is worth it.
Once you overcome the challenge and you're able to show up every single day and do your work, and also do your work at home, it's rewarding.
The best thing is overcoming those barriers and seeing yourself at another level. When you're able to overcome a challenge and see it through, and you learn from your lessons, and then you overcome the challenge, and then also you're able to encourage other females who may be joining that field.
That goes to also something to do with power. The feminine power is different from the male power when it comes to tech and when it comes to the workspace.
Yes.
Very much so. Very much so.
What kind of power do women bring to the table in a space like tech? I'll start with you, Patricia.
So, in many cases, you're working with people who have mothers, they have sisters, they have wives, especially wives. Yes. They have daughters. So when these males are working with you, when these gentlemen, engineers, whoever, superiors, our colleagues are working with us, Our background as children, as people, we won't distinguish this as male or female. Matters a lot when it comes to how people perceive power, and I think we all agree to that. But also, how they perceive power is much related to the image that this person had of the females around them.
So give us an example of how that power eventually plays out.
Yeah. So how that person will receive you or reject you or support you, or pretty much sometimes is maybe the way that I am pursuing or displaying my power towards them. Or it could be totally nothing to do with me. Like, it's not Patricia. It's just, but my mother did all this and she wasn't working. So probably because we've had comments where someone feels like, no, you're taking up too much as a female. Yet you should be seated at home. As you can see, yes. You have a bump and it's growing every day, and someone feels like, no. Like, I do not believe that pregnant women should be here working. Because, my day-to-day work, sometimes you need to do cabling for someone, and they're thinking, how are you going to bend under those desks? But
with your bump.
Exactly.
But you can.
Exactly, but
nothing
I can.
has stopped you.
I can. Like, by the time I accepted the job description was very clear.
Yeah.
So I should be able to. When I'm not able to, for one or two reasons, take up, because otherwise I would have been brought to the job alone. Yeah, so in most cases, their perspective, may have to do with so much, with their orientation and not me.
Yeah.
And to respect that space for them anyway.
So how do you handle such comments?
Well...
Or such remarks and glances?
So you see the way this mic works? Like, mutes everything. All sound except what is in front of it. Yeah, sometimes you have to do that. Like, block it out and then, stay focused.
Okay. Irene, saying power. What does power mean to you? Or how have you seen it play out?
Well, I believe power, my understanding of power is the ability to make a positive change and meaningful impact in someone's life. That's how I understand power. So I would take, so in my roles, in my everyday roles, there are roles that you do, your daily responsibilities, yes? But even when you have opportunities of being a leader, for example, and leading a team, it's not about, Irene is there, Irene is in the limelight, she's doing this and what. But for me, it's about what impact or what change, how am I influencing the people who I'm working with? For me, it's about giving back. How do I improve the people who are working under me? So that is how I perceive power. It's not about my position, it's not about my experience, it's not about my position, my title, should I say. It's about mentoring, creating impact in people's lives, and that's how I perceive power. So it's about, I'm sorry, but for me, I don't see it like the way other people would probably see it. That since you're powerful, so you have to, be out there and But at the same time, it's not that I'm putting myself down. No, I do what I do best and do it well. And I believe what I do well at will definitely show. I don't have to, be there and show the
command
and yes. So that's how I perceive power.
Yeah. Well, we're moving away from power now. You had mentioned earlier that you lacked role models then.
Yes.
You lacked people to look up to, but along the way you found them.
Yes.
I'll go to Patricia first and come to you. Tell me 3 ladies who you now look up to in your space. And perhaps it's one of the reasons why you're like, I can still come to work, I can still be a mother, I can still be a wife, because other women have done that. And why you'd want to have dinner with them. Because apart from just knowing and having them in mind, would you want to have dinner with them?
Okay. So I'm not going to go to so much outside Uganda. I'm just going to speak about people who have impacted me, influenced me, in Irene's words, in my space. There's one Dr. Annabella Habinka. I think you've heard about her. She was my lecturer at university, in Barra University. Her approach towards life was really interesting. Like if you've met her, then you know she's not about, like, there's nothing panicking around her.
Everything is calm.
Exactly. By that I mean that she has not had the challenges that many of us have had in the tech world. Yeah. So many times at campus, like, you'd go to her with issues and you feel like, why was I even fussing about this? Like, yeah, everything is so calm after talking to her. The other is our one and only Dr. Amina Zawedi. So in that knew everything, I think she was really instrumental in trying to remind me that, you know what, like, many women in this space actually going through have been where you have been. So it is very okay, like, to go through what you're going through.
Yeah, you'll find yourself on the other side of it.
Exactly. Like, it's just a phase, it will pass. But how it passes actually matters, and how you define yourself in this phase also matters. Yeah. And yeah, from the few or many talks that we've had with her, she has also really influenced me. Yeah.
And the last one?
And the last one, I'll give the credit to Engineer Irene.
So you're already in a room with her. You're in the same building with them. So perhaps dinner with them someday.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Irene, I know that one. Dr. Kello?
Yes.
So you have two more.
Yes. Well, there is Dr. Okello. Dr. Okello is the Dean, School of Engineering, but she started out as a lecturer, and now she's a Dean of the School of Electrical Engineering at Makerere University. So she really inspires me that you can be actually a head of an institution like School of Engineering. And then the other one is Engineer Irene Kagwa Sewankambo. She actually happens to share the same initials.
Yeah. And
She
one
also
name.
did electrical engineering.
Yeah.
She really inspires me because she has been in the same sector I've been in, ICT, telecommunications. So I've really been inspired at her growth, in in the different roles she has taken, the different projects, the different responsibilities. She has been successful in all, and now she's the acting ED of Uganda Communications Commission. Then I have so many, but yes, Dr. Amina Zawede is also one of them. I was very happy to learn that we're having a female PS for the first time for the Ministry of ICT. She has she inspires me with her technical guidance and her technical guidance, her supervision. She mentors us, you know. She listens and she mentors us, and she wants us to all progress and not to look down on ourselves as females. And then also she advocates for capacity building of the ministry, you know, over time, to improve yourself. So I am inspired by that, and it's really, really good. Yes, these ladies and many more are really committed, they're intelligent, and have really still working on to improve on my ability. Yes.
Okay. I think what you're both saying, and if I get it right, is that once you see women doing it the right way, it's also a path for you to know that you can do it the right way.
You can do it.
You can get to the
top. You can get there.
Right? And so for any woman, any man who has a sister, a friend, a girlfriend, whoever, whatever relation it is, but you know one who maybe has the potential to thrive in tech, this is what you should be telling them to watch and listen to.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, one thing that I want us to get into, and it's part of the Women's Month, is embracing equity for women in different workspaces, one of them being tech. Why is it so important for us to embrace diversity and equity in the tech space at this point in time? Patricia?
So when you're born, before you ever do that scan at about 20 weeks, like you're just human. You're just human. Like your mother is waiting for a baby. To some, it might matter whether or not it's a boy. But for the hope for which you have a child, like it doesn't matter. Like you want that person to be something of themselves. It doesn't matter. Like you're not thinking if it's a girl, then well they'll sit at home. If it's a boy, then I want them to thrive, or the other way around, or they'll survive because they're a boy, and I'll do everything it takes for a girl. So simply because we're human and we all deserve that dignity of being something in life, is why it's important for us to have that equity. It doesn't matter, take or not, whichever sector or world you're working in. Everyone just deserves to have like an equal space.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like that. And Irene?
Yeah, similar to what Patricia has mentioned, it's important to consider all, to make people feel included and welcome, and a welcoming environment for all gender, irrespective of your weaknesses or your abilities. In this way, you make every employee would be valued. Every employee will be loyal, will be happy to work for the institution or for the work in the workspace. And then also, when you have a diverse workforce, you have all these different perspectives from everyone. And this is important because when you're making decisions or solving problems, it's really important to take advantage of these diverse perspectives, so that even the solutions and the decisions you're making are actually have impact with the diverse groups of people that you're creating these solutions for. And then also embracing diversity also encourages creativity, innovation, and lots more that you can do as an organization. So I think it's really important that we do not leave anyone behind.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, now, one of the last questions before we get into what we like to call on the podcast quick fire. To every woman that's watching this and listening to this, maybe they have an aspiration to come into this space, but they also aspire to maybe be a mother, to be a wife. And what we're portraying at this point is that those are a bit hard to juggle, but they're doable.
Yes.
Women have done it. So give advice to that woman out there who's watching or listening. Patricia?
So, like I said when we started, you're not going to have a minute of that day where you'll be a mother, where you'll be a wife, and at some point you're a sister, and then you'll be the ICT officer at work. Like you have to be all these things at the same time. One thing for sure, yes, like they say, it's really exhausting, but it is fulfilling. It really is fulfilling. So it's really to take the courage and face the challenges, embrace the opportunities because they are there. Use the people in your circles, look at the people in your spaces, and most importantly, for every opportunity, show up. Like just show up. It might be challenging to show up sometimes, but just do show up.
Keep showing up.
Yeah, keep showing up.
And eventually you'll figure it out. Irene, your word of advice to the woman or to the man who has a friend who's a woman that he needs to send it to?
Yeah. For me, I think it's they should never let any of their inabilities or their gender or shortcomings hinder them from pursuing their dreams. They should go for it and do whatever it takes. If it's a skill they have to learn, if it is a mentor they want to be associated with, I think they should use all opportunities available. And now, with the internet now connects you to so many role models, so many people you can interact with. You don't even have to see them face to face. Making linkages with these people, networking as much as possible, but with the objective of learning and improving on who you are. And at the same time, we need to be proactive and look ahead, have a vision. Let us not sell ourselves short. I think we can do quite a lot as women. I believe we're very strong.
Yeah.
Very, very strong. Because if you can be a mother, a wife, a manager, and so many others. A business owner, we can do so a lot. So I just want to encourage the females out there that it's possible, not just in the science field, but in all fields, to prosper, to excel, to be the leaders. And we already know that we're the mothers of this nation.
Yeah.
Yes. So
what we say is the sky is the limit for you.
yes, the sky is
Go
the
ahead.
limit.
Dream.
Explore. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. We learn through mistakes. It's fine. Sometimes we put ourselves down. I learned that along the way.
No.
But it's important to learn from your mistakes and stand up and go forward. Yes.
Okay, now we're getting into a part of the podcast which is called Quick Fire. As they're taking that advice, because it's been quite, like I'm also taking it in for myself. Yeah, I may not be in the tech space per se, but I'm taking it in for my career end of things.
Yeah.
So we'll get into Quick Fire. It's the fun part of the podcast. We get to know what you like as a Ugandan and some things. We'll get to know something about you. Yeah,
Okay.
Something more personal. So we'll start with you, Patricia, and I'll come to you,
Okay.
Irene. Patricia, what is that one treat you'd wish a Ugandan woman to experience?
Pardon?
What's that one treat? What's that one nice thing that you have experienced? You liked it. You want that woman to also experience it.
A Ugandan woman.
Yeah.
So it's not a treat, but I think everyone deserves to come to my village,
What's your village?
Bunyaruguru.
Okay.
It is a very beautiful place. Like
Has lots of crater lakes.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
The
scenic.
freshest fish in Uganda. Like you think you've eaten fish in Kampala, go to Bunyaruguru.
You have sold us on this one. The freshest fish is what you wish them to experience.
And so many other things.
Yeah.
Fresh bananas, fresh everything. Like you will not forget your experience in that Rift Valley.
Okay. So Bunyaruguru is where you need to
Yes.
come through to. Irene, what's that one treat you'd like a Ugandan woman to experience?
Well, I think it's not just a Ugandan woman, but everyone. I love nature. I love nature, by the way. I love seeing the water. I love animals. Yes. So for me, I think Ugandans need to visit the national parks. Appreciate what Uganda has, the beauty it has.
Which one stood out for you in all the national parks?
Well, the crater lakes in the west, we have crater lakes there in our district. I come from Kabarole district.
Okay.
So we have crater lakes there. The chimpanzees, if you visit Kibale Forest, there are several that you can see there. Look at them. I love looking at them and just imagining what are they doing. They're scratching themselves the way we're also scratching ourselves. As in, I don't know, they just fascinate me.
Yeah.
Yes. And it takes me away from my work and just to relax and get in touch with nature and appreciate the beauty that Uganda holds.
Yeah.
So there are so many national parks. We have the gorillas in Bwindi Impenetrable Forest. We have tourists coming to visit these, but maybe we should also take a chance and also go and visit and see these gorillas, not just see them in photos. So I think we should all treat ourselves and enjoy the beauty of this country. It is diverse. Eastern region is different from Western region. Northeast also has its beauty. So let us appreciate all the parts of Uganda.
Yeah. Get some of your money and experience
Yes.
the beauty that Uganda
It's not
has
even
to
that
offer.
expensive.
You have had it. Still sticking with quickfire, what's that one subject that gave you such a hard time?
Oh, no doubt. History.
Not chemistry or biology. Well,
History.
no secret.
No,
Why?
chemistry and biology were
Easy
the
peasy.
simplest subjects for me.
Why history though?
History, I don't know. First of all, I used to find it boring. Like it would be a problem to stay awake in that class. Like,
Was it always after lunch or?
I think it was always after lunch. Yes, it was always after lunch. I got called out one time to actually stand in class.
Because you're always sleeping.
Yes, but it was difficult to memorize all these kingdoms and, as in, because there was no one formula, like, okay, it's this and this, then then you're trying to get a concept of what's, like, it wasn't so clear.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't easy for me really to memorize. And I used to find it not as interesting as my peers, but how I dealt with it, just make friends with people who are good at history. And
You excelled.
yes, I passed. I passed.
Here you are now. And I know there's someone out there who's listening and saying, what? Like history that's what you struggled
It's
with?
strange.
Well, someone would say, the equations that you thought were so simple were the hardest.
It is so strange, but very, very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
But we need to talk to this person who set the timetable. History after lunch.
But even it was just stories. So, and then after lunch, it was really difficult. And then the bit of memorizing, and they actually used to cram. But for me, it wasn't. I wasn't that person who crams. I have
want
to
to
understand. Yes. So that was my my challenge.
Those of Kramak, no disrespect, but you were not understanding. What's that one subject for you, Patricia, that gave you a hard time?
Commerce.
Really?
Yes, really.
Okay, why?
Interestingly. There was a lot to catch up on, but also I think the interest, because I won't say the school, because it was forced on us in S3.
Yeah.
So I think most people do it earlier from like S1. So by the time we go to like S3, I felt like there was so much to catch up on. Okay, history was like just following right below the commas, but
You had commas to deal with.
Yeah.
Well, the last thing is, I know that both you ladies, you carry your handbags, right? There's something that does not miss in each of your handbags. So which is that one thing? Even if you're transferring to the next bag, it has to be there. What's that for you, Patricia?
I have this small bag that has all my cards.
Okay.
Like, even if I'm going for a party and now I'm transferring my things to a class.
Your business cards.
No.
Which kind of cards?
ATM,
Okay.
medical card, those ones, yeah.
Okay.
So that's
just in
one.
case. Okay.
Yeah.
You can't be sure. But also it talks about one thing. The e-cash system. Yeah?
Exactly.
Yeah, just in case. Okay. And you, Irene?
I have a tendency to write a lot.
Okay.
Even when we're talking, I always want to write something, even when it's obvious. But I want to write it down. One, it helps me to keep going back and to ensure that I haven't missed out on anything. So that's a notebook and a pen. And also, it helps me to be organized. I write about everything. I write about my assignments. I write about how much I've spent. I write about how much fuel I've put into the car. So there's lots of things that I write.
That's a very good habit, though, because then you can track a number of your things getting back.
Everything, I put it down, and it helps me to keep going back to what did I miss out, keep track of everything. Yes, and then also, of course, is a lip gloss.
You have to look nice.
Yes, I always want to moisturize my lips. So
You're not the first
never
person to
misses
say
my
that.
bag.
Yeah. Throughout these episodes, there's another person who also mentioned lip gloss, lipstick. You have to moisturize your lips. So apart from ashy elbows, what ladies, we also now have to deal with ashy lips or dry lips. Yeah, so please. But once you mention the notebook and the pen, as we wrap this up, do you have a good handwriting? Because they say, Santa, so, Yeah.
I actually have a very good handwriting. I used to be selected to write on the board as one of those students with the best handwriting. We used to write on the class.
I will have to confirm this. But anyway.
Through school, primary school, I used to help the teachers in that way, help them write the questions. And it would make you so proud. But it's because I had the best handwriting in school. Yeah.
So we need to confirm that. I think after this episode, we will have to go and confirm this handwriting. But
With our teachers as
yes. By the way, but now we'll have to make the calls.
But the notebook is not that neat.
So it's just because of the notebook size, or the handwriting has changed over time?
No, it's just that you want to write fast. So usually it's only when you're like writing if you look at my test papers, if you're looking at any serious document, the handwriting is on point.
Okay. So we'll excuse the handwriting in the notebook. Yeah. Anyway, that has been the episode. This has been Uganda, the Ugandan Podcast episode. It's been quite interesting, a learning experience, a bit of a moment to laugh here and there, and to get to know the two of you ladies, women in tech. So thank you so much for joining us on the Ugandan Podcast. To Irene and Patricia, inspiring potential women who will be coming into the tech space, but also encouraging women who are in the tech space and perhaps might be thinking they're the only ones experiencing something that might have been mentioned on the podcast. You're not alone. Yeah, there's a support system out there. I believe they can always reach out in one way or another. So share this with your sister, share this with your friend, share this with someone you know who might be joining or who's looking for what career path to go into, because there's a lot of opportunity for them in the tech space, the ICT space. Yeah. So this is what it's all about. So share, subscribe, like. I am Rita Kanya Mujuni, and I have been your host on this episode of the Ugandan Podcast. Thank you, ladies, for joining us.
Thank you, Rita.
Thank you, Rita.